Hi, good afternoon. My name is Annie Deaver, and I was asked by Girl Scouts of Western New York to provide some tips for how we stay a little more connected during this time of the pandemic, coronavirus. I know a lot of us are struggling right now with how to socially connect and how to stay a little bit more connected with self. So I'm just going to give you a couple of, I think, very practical tips to help you to stay a little more connected and to practice better self-care during this pandemic. Just to start, just a little bit of information about me. By trade, I'm an executive director in an assisted living community. I am originally from Buffalo, New York. I relocated to Raleigh, North Carolina about 3 years ago to start a new life after a divorce. So I do know what it's like in the middle of my life to start all over again, and that presented, a whole bunch of challenges, but also there have been many blessings in that as well. So I'm going to be referring to my notes a little bit. So I'm basically a nonprofit, for-profit type of director. So as you can imagine, there are many challenges that I've had to face, most especially because I'm an essential worker. So practicing self-care is something that I have to be very much deliberate about. So, and I'm a friend of Girl Scouts of Western New York. Prior to leaving Buffalo, New York, I did a little bit of contractual work for Girl Scouts of Western New York. And Girl Scouts philosophy and motto in general has always been near and dear to my heart, one of which is empowering young women and girls. So, with that, let me just give you a couple of tips that I have honed over my years of being a professional woman and right now with being an essential worker. So, first and foremost, I think it's really important to take a little bit of time every day for self and to do some kind of reflection. So, whether it's yoga, stretching for about 10 to 15 minutes before you start your day, walking, and I know it's really hard to have a routine of doing something like this every day. But if you could carve out 3 to 4 days per week, 20 to 30 minutes total, it would be so beneficial for your physical health and for your mental health. And we all know how important it is as we get a little bit older. I mean, I'm approaching 50 as we speak. I'll be 50 next month. But as we get older, it's really more important to kind of set aside time. I don't know about you, but if I don't start my day with a little bit of quiet, reflecting, a few moments of peace, I feel like my day is not as productive. I'm not as energized. I'm not as focused. I'm not as centered. So every day, even if you can break it up, 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at night, 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes at night, just whatever it is that, meditation, self-care, whatever it means for you, just take a little bit of quiet time. Try to practice it every day, but minimally 3 days a week. Another thing that I think is really important, especially right now during this pandemic, it's really hard to socially connect, right? I myself am very much a social being, right? We're all social beings. If you know anything about Myers-Briggs, I am an ENFP. So that means I get a lot of my energy or most of my energy from connecting with other people. And I don't know about you, but I've kind of had, Zoom meetings up to here, right? FaceTime kind of up to here. I miss the in-person connecting. So if you're someone like me, or even if you're a little bit more of an introverted personality, we are still social beings and we need to remember that. So as much as possible, try to get a little bit of FaceTime with others. Now, of course, please be mindful to be safe. Practice your social distancing as much as you can. I mean, always wear a mask, depending on your state. Make sure that you're adhering to the CDC and your state guidelines. So we should all be social distancing. We should all be wearing masks as much as possible. I know here in the state of North Carolina, we don't have to, but when I'm going to the supermarket, I'm running to the store, I am wearing a mask. At work, I'm wearing a mask. So be mindful, wear your masks. But also get creative with your friends and family. Figure out ways to just be in person and to be present with people more. We need that in our lives. After going a couple of months being a little more isolated at home. A lot of people are working from home. I actually count it a blessing that I have to actually go into work 5 to 6 days a week. And before this, I didn't appreciate it as much. At least at work, I am socially engaging on a daily basis. But those of you who are working from home, you really have to make sure you carve out time. Get out of the house at least once a day. Once a day. Let's shoot for once a day, just for a few minutes. That could be going for a walk. That could be going over and checking on your neighbor. That can mean going in your backyard, sitting outside, sitting with nature, right? Research has shown that at least 10 minutes of staring at nature or staring at greenery can help to rejuvenate your mind and help to get the creative juices flowing. So any kind of way that you can engage, get out in nature, and be with other people. Invite a friend for a walk. Wear your mask. Meet a friend for a meal. Your friend can sit in his or her car, you sit in your car, and you roll down the window a little bit, wear your mask, get creative, and have a meal. Just be together. So let's not forget to get some in-person social connecting going. Another thing that I think that's critically important to kind of help us to, keep our sanity during this pandemic is to remember to connect spiritually, right? So we know spirituality and religion are two different things. So whatever spirituality means for you, don't forget to connect in that kind of way. So if that means being one with nature, if that means reading scripture, if that means watching a virtual service, whatever that means for you, whatever your practice is, don't forget to be very deliberate about adhering to making that a part of your regular routine. I don't know about you, but as a person who identifies as Christian, I am missing fellowshipping right now. I'm missing going to church. And the virtual services, of course, they have their place, but it's nothing like being with other like-minded believers. So if your spirituality means time with self or time with others, try to make those kinds of connections as well. Just taking a look at my list here. Another thing that I think that's really important to do is to continue to maintain your physical self, right? So we're not just talking about exercise. Whatever you do that's part of your routine that makes you feel better about yourself. Let's remember to do that. For me, some of the things that I'm accustomed to doing is periodically like getting my nails done, occasionally maybe getting a pedicure. As you see, I color my hair. This is not my natural color. What a surprise. Color my hair, whatever it is for you. I know some people who, maybe you get your eyebrows done, maybe you shave, maybe you get groomed, maybe you get a massage. Whatever those things are that would just make you feel better about self, in your own body, continue to try to do those things at home. I have started to, as a result of this pandemic and being a little bit more at home, I started coloring my own hair. I paint my own nails. I prepare so many more meals. So not only am I saving money, but it still brings up those feelings in me, which are important for me to maintain myself, whatever that means. So whatever your thing or your things are for self-maintenance, remember to gift that to yourself during this time, okay? And also, whenever you can, do a little bit of splurging. I have a good friend that reminded me that I've been cooking at home so much, I hadn't treated myself to like a dinner out in a couple of months. So what I did for myself yesterday is I ordered a meal from a restaurant, and I went to go pick up a very special meal, and then I brought it back to my home, and I ate it. And it was just something to make me feel special. I hadn't splurged in a meal for myself in so long. Okay, so try to do those things to continue to maintain self, whatever that means for you. Another thing to do, and again, as I'm sharing these ideas with you, I'm actually saying them to myself too. Practicing gratitude, journaling, giving thanks, giving alms, like whatever that means for you. I don't know about you, but I am so very appreciative of my job right now, my family, my friends. This coronavirus has been taking lives, and unfortunately will take more lives before we wrap our arms around it, whether it's, a vaccine or medicines. I am in a place of gratitude that, my children are well, my friends are well, my family is well. So let's just remember to have moments of gratitude during this time. And let's limit our intake of news and social media. It kind of feeds, the anxiety, and it just reminds us. And I'm not saying don't be informed, don't keep yourself aware of what's going on in our country and in our world, but try to limit it. Do a little bit of social media fasting. I know I'm limiting myself to 30 minutes of news per day, and it has helped me so much, not to stay so overly focused on, how many people have passed. I want to be informed, but I also want to stay in a place of gratitude, and that's something that I try to practice. Another thing that I do, and one of the last points I want to share with you is just to be mindful to get back to the basics. And, there's a lot of talk online, and a lot of people are talking about the fact that because of this pandemic, they spent more time with families, like families and households are now eating meals together, right? Spending more time together. So because I am a single person, for me, some of the getting back to the basics things that I've started to do as a part of my regular routine is actually, this may sound outdated, I'm picking up the phone and I'm actually calling people more. Who knew? A phone conversation over a text. Wow. Again, it helps with the social connecting piece and the connectedness piece. It also reminds me of something I used to do back in high school when, this predates cell phones. So I'm dating myself. When people used to actually have to call to speak to someone on the phone. Those phone conversations kind of fill in the gaps in between the face-to-face time with people. And it's so much better to have a phone conversation over texting. Texting at times feels impersonal. Picking up the phone means so much more. I know some people who are dating are doing, dates over the phone and Zoom dates, and eating together, like not being in the same space, but actually kind of seeing the other person makes a huge difference. So where you can, pick up the phone and call, plan phone conversations with friends or family members. So those are just some of the things that have been near and dear to my heart, and some of the practical pieces that I've implemented in my own life during this during this pandemic. So just to give you a little recap, and another thing I kind of want to remind us to do that I didn't mention is this kind of goes along with the self-maintenance piece is, and the gratitude piece is to figure out how to volunteer. I mean, why not volunteer, for example, with Girl Scouts of Western New York? Reach out to them, try to volunteer. There are still ways that, we can volunteer and give back. And that also kind of feeds into, our whole idea of giving gratitude. There are a whole lot of young women through Girl Scouts who could absolutely use your help and support. And also remember to follow Girl Scouts of Western New York on all of your social media platforms. I know I'm a Facebooker. I follow Girl Scouts of Western New York on Facebook. So remember to do that as well. So just to kind of recap for you, a few things that you can do during this pandemic to kind of keep your mind, and this is for parents in particular, or the Girl Scouts adults in particular, is to meditate, walk, stretch every day, or at least 3 days a week, 20 to 30 minutes. Break it up if you need to. Okay, so let's remember to do that. Also, social connecting in more of a live way, in person, as much as possible. Stay safe though. Keep that social distance. Wear your mask. If you're wearing gloves, wear your gloves, but don't forget to plan in-person connecting time with other people. Another thing, remember our spirituality. Okay, doesn't necessarily mean religious practices, but if it does, that's all well and good. But remember to practice your spirituality. You know what? If it's 1 day a week, 2 days a week, every day, whatever that means for you, we really, really need that right now more than ever. Maintain yourself, whatever that means for you, Do a self-massage, paint your nails, shave yourself, groom yourself. color your hair, whatever it is that you need to do to maintain self. Keep those practices going, and you're probably going to save money too. I'm just saying. Another thing, showing gratitude. Absolutely. Journaling, being with nature, being mindful, practicing mindfulness to remind you of how grateful you are. If you're working, you're blessed. You have friends and family that you're staying connected with, you're blessed. Please feel gracious and kind of give gratitude for that. Get back to the basics. Call people. Talk to people. Last time I was at Trader Joe's, I made sure I had a conversation with a couple of people. I said thank you to that essential worker for being in that supermarket and for providing me a service, right? Absolutely. Get back to the basics. And volunteerism. You know what? It's nothing better than giving back. So let's remember those few pieces. I thank you. I'm so appreciative to Girl Scouts of Western New York for asking me to share these little tips with you. And hopefully at some point we will connect again. Thank you so much. Stay safe. Be well.